welcome back to episode 4, the Wrist Check podcast. The gang is back together again.
Yes.
Didn't take long for that to happen.
Yeah. 4 episodes in, I guess it's a commitment. We're here doing the damn thing again. This episode, we're going to title this episode. This episode is called The Battle Royale. We got a lot of questions in our on our Instagram page via direct message from some of the fine folks following us. A lot of people who are new to either collecting watches or just timepieces in general. And so I wanted to use this episode as a vehicle to sort of converse about different definitions with respect to watches, but also be able to share our perspective. Before we get to that, though, wrist check.
Infamous wrist check.
You starting it off again.
Listen,
You want to start us off again?
I'm starting it
We
off.
go.
Let's go.
from
Let's
my
get
left
it.
to
Rashawn.
I'm gonna go Swatch Chrono from the 90s. I'm a 90s baby,
Okay.
so anything in the 90s I'm a sucker for.
Respect.
Previous episode I was wearing a 90s Breitling.
Yep.
Anything 90s inspired, anything sourced from the 90s, I'm all over it. If it's birth year, I'm all over it. So, for me, this was a no-brainer. Just the cool, crazy, quirky colorways in the dial, and just, the cool fact of it being like a quartz movement and how it just like operates is crazy to me. So this was a no-brainer when I was able to acquire this. I was very, very happy.
Also, I must point out, you look very handsome today. Where are you going?
Oh man, listen.
This dude got a vest on. He got his dress shirt
waistcoat.
on.
Listen, I'm not going on a plane today, but I am going somewhere.
Okay. Respect.
Very
He's
high.
on his way. I think great choice in the watch selection. I remember the previous episode we were talking about towards the end, just being able to have fun with timepieces. Swatch is a Swiss-made company, but definitely also a very fun watch brand that does really cool and interesting pieces. I'm actually looking at one now for my daughter for Christmas because vicariously through me, she is now interested in watches. She's only 4, so I'm having a lot of fun with that. So kudos to you, sir. Ben, what you going with?
You've been talking a lot about bronze watches lately, Perri.
Yes, I have.
So I kind of echoed those sentiments, and I threw on a bronze Auris Dive 65.
Respect to you.
Cotton Candy
The Cotton
collection.
Candy.
My personal favorite dial, the pink dial. I think
You
it's
went
the
killer
best of
cam
the
with
3.
it.
Super killer cam. I love cam.
Full dip set.
Yup. Pink dial is the best one. I got some pretty good patina on
I was
this.
gonna say it aged really well.
Really well, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
bezel's almost like this dark brown color. I have my fingerprints all over the clasp and the lugs just from touching it all day.
Respect.
It's also one that I look at it and I get kind of happy because I'm wearing a pink watch.
Yeah. Auris does bronze really well.
Yes.
They've been doing bronze watches for a little bit. Obviously, they have the Cotton Candy. They have the Carl Brashear.
Yep.
Most recently, the Big Pro Pilot, Big Date.
Yep, with the green dial.
With the it's a green dial? Black dial.
Oh, black dial.
It's got green watch strap.
Yeah, green strap.
Yeah. So they're definitely committed to bronze, and they do it exceptionally well.
Yeah.
I am a fan.
Also, shout out to Geronimo. For those of you who know about Auris,
Geronimo!
DJ Geronimo, the CEO of Auris, posting
Yes.
us on his story, repping the podcast. He
Much
loves what we have to
appreciated,
say.
sir.
He's a great man. We've hung out several times. Took me to a Yankee game. Very fun guy to be around.
Awesome.
Knows a lot about a lot.
Incredible CEO. I love it
He
when
is.
I see people.
If
who run
anyone
businesses
knows
are
about
hands-on.
watch companies and their CEOs, Geronimo has to be the most interactive person on planet Earth when it comes to his clients. You just tag him on Instagram, he will repost you. He will talk to you. He
That's
loves
awesome.
being hands-on.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Geronimo.
Shout out to Geronimo. I decided to go. I went bronze today too.
Woo!
As a matter of fact, so
wow.
we are gunning for bronze today. I went with my most recent purchase, and I'm really, really enjoying this. I was fortunate enough to be able to purchase a Tudor Black Bay 58 bronze boutique exclusive.
Looks really good on you.
It does. So
Matches
this
the
is
target.
the 39 millimeter case with the matching bronze bracelet.
Yep. New clasp though, right?
The clasp is new. I think they call this the T-fit. Some people, I think it's like, reviews are mixed. I love it. I think it's great.
I love the dial.
The dial is
369.
awesome. So this watch, the case and the face are identical to the first bronze Black Bay. This one in the smaller 58 case. The dial is different. It's a gradient brown dial. So it's lighter in the center and it gets darker as you go out. The case size being smaller, I feel like gets everything proportionately it's more aesthetically pleasing. It's developed a really nice patina. When I first got this watch, it looked like it was rose gold and it very quickly changed. I actually took it to the beach almost immediately the week after and swam in the ocean with it. Gave it a run for its money, and it just gets better and better each day. I really, really love this watch. I think Tudor got it right.
For sure.
Yeah, very happy with this.
Yeah, I love that dial.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
man.
beautiful piece.
Thanks, man. So, episode 4, Battle Royale.
Yes.
I want to get into the thick of things. So, the first subject is movement classifications.
Yes.
One of the biggest questions that we get, and for those who are watching who are seasoned watch collectors, obviously you know all this stuff, but we do have some people who are following us that are new to watch collecting, and we're going to make an effort to start at the ground level of sorts and bring them into the conversation. So with movements, I think first I want to get into quartz versus mechanical.
Yes.
What's the difference between a quartz movement and mechanical movement?
Yes.
Mechanical, you obviously have automatic and manual wind.
Yes.
Rashawn, you want to take us down that lane?
Of course, yeah. I mean, just describing the quartz movement, of course, was designed by the Japanese company Seiko Corporation.
And you're actually wearing a quartz watch today, now that I think about it.
Ironically, yes.
Yeah.
I am wearing a quartz watch. Initially, it was designed to actually create timepieces at an even more affordable price point.
Yeah, more affordable, more rapid, more easier to use.
Yes.
There's a lot of story behind the quartz movement too. A lot of history.
Yes. So, when the quartz movement was introduced, it was to, kind of check all of those boxes, which Ben had mentioned is like, well, how do we go ahead and create a timepiece that is beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, but at affordable price point? So it's like, well, how about we make it electronic? Let's power it with a battery. Let's also make it to where we can pump out more pieces than, someone working in a factory with a master watchmaker that is literally putting these pieces together by hand. So, of course, as we know, throughout time and how technology advances and how, we yearn for convenience.
Sure.
Going into automatic or manual wind timepieces, the quartz timepiece actually checked all those boxes. It lasts longer, it's more robust. You can count on it a lot longer than a manual wind or automatic piece.
most accurate thing in the world when it comes to movement.
Quartz watch is
outside of a digital watch.
Outside of a digital watch, it is the most accurate
Analog.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with that being said, it's like, well, how do we create, aesthetics with convenience? And the quartz was created. So of course, when the quartz movement was created, it did create what we know as the Quartz crisis.
What's crisis?
Yep.
Put a lot of watchmakers on their heels, and for the ones that didn't adapt, they are extinct.
Yeah, everyone thought the world was gonna end when it happened.
I mean, you're talking about brands that have survived wars. You're talking about, natural disaster, or even what we just came out of, a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Watch brands were able to survive those, but
They
not
couldn't survive
able
a
to
battery,
survive a single battery.
Yeah.
Like Ben is saying. So the Quartz movement is very, very pivotal in watch making and watch creating. And for me, it's like, I have no like or dislike to a Quartz watch. Obviously wearing one, and the irony in wearing one.
Yeah.
Just like brought it to my attention is the fact that as long as the watch is beautiful, I'm gonna wear it regardless.
100%. Tells
I agree
time.
with that.
It does its job.
Listen, all watches do the same thing. They tell
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
One way or the
100%.
other.
I'm looking into purchasing a Quartz Grand Seiko for myself as we speak. So
They do them really well.
yeah.
In regards to mechanical movements, I think a lot of people, they understand the idea or the concept of a mechanical movement.
Of course.
Right? It's self-explanatory. What they might not realize is that there are two classifications of mechanical movements.
Yes.
You have automatic, and then you have the manual wound
Right.
movements.
Yes.
You want to share a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, of course, when it comes to automatic and manual wound, I think sometimes when you are presenting a timepiece and you speak to a watch and you say it is mechanical, someone gets confused and believe that it may be manual.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'll agree
mechanical
with that.
is under an umbrella.
Yes.
So I think, when speaking of timepieces and introducing timepieces, you have to be specific as far as to whether it is mechanical or manual wound. Of course, we know in the world of a mechanical watch, the manual wound didn't come first.
100%.
And of course, we seek convenience because we are,
Creatures
human
of
nature
habit.
Yeah.
Creatures of habit, and
We're spoiled.
we want things to be easy.
We just want them to
100%.
work.
We
We don't want to think about them. Whatever
Yes.
makes everything convenient.
If
we
you,
want.
the less you have to think about it,
The better it is.
The better it is.
For
And
most.
so
Yeah, I'll
for-
agree. Yeah, for most.
for the automatic timepiece, it was created to actually work based on kinetic energy.
Yep.
To be based on movement, to actually continue its power as long as you were wearing it. So, of course, in the tradition of a manual wound watch, you would wind it every some odd hours for it to continue to work. And if you didn't maintain that manual wound maintenance, the watch would stop.
Yeah.
I will say that's why I like manually wound watches though, because it gives you an intimate moment
Sure.
to share with the watch. These things are expensive, whether they're $500 Studio Underdog watches or a $6,300 Hesalite Speedmaster.
Yes.
You have to wind it every
You have to wind
2.5 days.
I think about a manual wound as a stick shift car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
It really speaks to the fact that
You almost appreciate it more.
you for a stick shift vehicle, you have to listen to it, you have to feel it, you have to be connected with the vehicle.
I think that's an excellent point, sir.
When it comes to a manual wound watch, it's the same thing. It's like I have to wear this consistently and understand that it will stop on
You have to be connected to it.
Yeah.
have to be connected to it. So with that being said, manual versus automatic, I have no bias as well. I love timepieces. period.
Respect to you. So there you have it, quartz versus mechanical. Now, with respect to movements, the quartz crisis was a period in time where innovation forced the industry to react.
Yes.
I feel like, to a lesser degree, that's happening again.
Yes.
And one of the most recent innovations in terms of movements is the spring drive movement. This made famous by Grand Seiko.
Yep.
You being a fan of Grand Seiko.
The only brand that can do it.
I'm gonna let you take that one, sir.
Well, it's crazy because
What is a spring drive movement?
So a spring drive in essence is a hybrid. It's like taking a quartz, the things that mostly make up a quartz movement, quartz crystal, copper coils, mixing it with a mechanical movement. Grand Seiko spring drive still has a rotor,
Yep.
but it also has quartz crystal and a copper coil. The way that works is, though, that quartz crystal and copper are only there for regulation. It still works like a normal automatic watch.
Yeah. So there's no battery.
Right, no battery. You don't need the battery. What's in it is a magnet that floats and it replaces the standard escapement. There's no coils, no wires being wound. It's a magnet that constantly spins. No oscillation, no pallet fork. The quartz crystal is there for that.
Right.
That's what makes it the most accurate mechanical movement in a wristwatch.
Okay.
Is that the magnet that powers it constantly spins. It doesn't
Got it.
oscillate. So what oscillations are, it's forwards and backwards, like a half circle. So when you look at your watch, if you have a watch in the exhibition case back that's not a Grand Seiko spring drive, look at it right now and you'll see that it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Goes back and forth. Grand Seiko does this. It
Interesting.
spins,
Yes.
constantly rotates.
Yes.
And that's what makes the second hands glide. That's why it's so hypnotic to look at.
Yeah, it really does glide.
Yeah.
It almost sweeps.
Yeah, it looks like it's floating.
It really does. It does
Yeah.
it in the level that automatic watches.
Yeah, and if you
don't
have
do
a
it.
spring drive, turn your watch around right now and look at that movement. It just spins. It doesn't stop.
Yes.
And the crazy thing is that there's a magnet making that happen. It doesn't touch anything. It just floats inside of where that barrel is.
Right.
And the other cool thing is, which is kind of crazy, is that it's an innovation, but it's been around since 1960.
Yeah, it's not super new.
It's not new
but
at all.
it's famous
Right.
now.
Now.
And,
Yes.
and that might
Yes.
be because
it has
I
a
guess
cult following.
Yeah.
Grand Seiko has been newly introduced
Yeah.
into the U.S. market.
Yep, since
Yeah.
2010. So
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy too is I think what Grand Seiko has decided to do with their latest timepiece, the Omi Watari.
yeah, it's a manually wound spring drive.
It's a
which is kind of
manual
crazy.
wound string drive, and you actually see the
Yeah.
magnet
Yeah,
more prominent than you have seen in any of the timepieces.
because there's no rotor blocking the movement.
There's no rotor blocking movement. There's just a giant magnet that sits there and spins, and you literally see it.
Yep.
Speaking of Battle Royale, we recently had a post on our Instagram stories for the best blue dials, and the Omi Watari actually came in second.
What was first?
Auris, Carl Brashear.
All right, I can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at that.
Can't argue
Both
with
brands
that.
are like, you win this time, BJ.
So the next question, what movement do you prefer and why? We'll go to Rashawn.
Oh man. Well, the spring drive does fall into mechanical, but it is a hybrid. I already said that I am unbiased,
Respect.
so I'm going to I'm gonna cheat, and I'm gonna make my.
It's not a cheat.
I'm
It's not a
that's how you
cheat.
feel.
It-
I'm
yeah,
gonna
it's
make
a
my
real
own
thing.
prefer, and I'm gonna say the spring drive because it is both a mechanical and a quartz hybrid.
Okay.
So I'm
that
gonna say I
means-
love. I'm gonna say I love them both.
That means after this episode, you're rocking the Grand Seiko for the rest of your life.
Ooh,
Right?
listen,
He might.
I just might.
How about you, sir?
I'm going with the manually wound movement.
Respect.
I want to touch and feel
Yeah.
and look at and play with my watch. I don't just want to wear it. With that being said, to echo Rashawn's point, I can still get a manually wound spring drive, so I will.
Sure.
Omi Watari is the one for me.
The Omi Watari has an incredible dial. It's beautiful. It looks like it just looks like waves.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Shameless plug, they're dropping a new watch. SOGA 007 is a reference.
Oh my God.
Similar movement, except it has a 5-day power reserve.
It's
Still
incredible.
spring drive. It just has a navy blue dial instead of that ice blue.
Okay.
It's a
yeah.
it's,
That's actually
it's
that's
an
fire.
unfrozen Lake Sewa
Yeah,
That's fire.
on the bracelet too.
I'm gonna have to agree with. I'm gonna have to agree with you, Ben.
Manual.
I prefer a manually wound movement. Almost for the same reasons. You feel connected to your watch. I like feeling connected to my watch. Love automatics. I have no problem with the quartz movement. To me, especially on a new manually wound movement, there's nothing like turning it and
That
feeling
crunch.
the teeth crunch.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's like one of the most satisfying things.
It's a good sound.
Oh my God, I love it. It's a good sound. It's a
Yeah.
good feel.
Yeah.
Like you can date a manually wound watch by how you turn it, the crown. Like you can feel it.
Yeah, you
And it's like, oh my God, this thing is either like extremely old and weathered, or this thing's brand new.
Brand spanking new.
Or in many cases, you know, there have been situations where I've put hands on vintage manually wound watches, and you turn the crown and you realize, oh my God, this thing has never really been worn.
Yeah.
It's like it's been sitting in a safe somewhere in someone's drawer.
But at the same time, you can also tell if it's like this might need to be serviced.
Oh,
by
100%.
feeling it.
Yeah,
Just by feeling it.
you can feel
Which
all of
you don't
those
get that.
nuances.
Yeah, you don't get
and
that in an automatic watch.
You don't get that in automatic watch, but automatic watch, I mean, I understand the convenience,
Yeah.
right? And there is also that feeling where you're connected to the watch and you know it's running by how connected you are to it,
Yeah.
right? And how often you wear it.
Yeah.
And I have that relationship with my bronze
Yeah.
Tudor. This is an automatic watch. I know if I'm not wearing it in a couple of days and I pull it out, that thing is stopped.
Yeah.
But I do prefer a manually wound movement for those reasons I just stated. There's almost a romantic relationship between you and the watch at that point that I think is really cool.
The way I see it too, like you were talking about, you know, manual and automatic cars. For all the car guys listening to this, think about, you know, your prized Ferrari or your Porsche. Even if you're not driving it, those things might be weekend cars for you, but maybe you have a slow Monday, you leave work early, you get in that car, you turn it on, just sitting there for a little while. Just to turn it on, feel it, make sure it's good. And then come Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, you're ripping the streets with that thing. It's the same thing with a manual watch.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
You know, to bring to you guys' attention, if you didn't notice, I seen that you guys agreed on the manual wound because you guys both have a great appreciation for the Speedmaster.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course. I think the
mean,
Speedmaster is the first
yeah.
manual watch I really played with.
I own 2 manually wound watches. I have the Speedmaster, and then the vintage Big Rose Tudor that my wife purchased me for Christmas.
Nice.
Shout out to my wife.
Shout out to Perri's wife.
All right, so this takes us right into the Battle Royale segment of this show.
Let's do it.
And there are several topics where we will sort of discuss which we prefer. Let's jump into it. The first is date or no date dial. This is a big issue for a lot of people who collect watches, especially dive watches.
Yeah, especially dive watches.
How do you feel? Let's start with Ben.
Date. Gotta have the date.
He's right into it.
Gotta have the date.
Gotta have the date.
I understand people. We have 2 subs pulled up, date and no date sub.
Sure.
If you're a traditionalist, if you want the purest Submariner, you go no date. I get it. But if you're buying a modern Submariner, you're going to wear it every single day. You're going to want the date. Trust me, you're going to want the date. So, date, hands down.
Okay.
I look at my watch more for the date than the time, I feel.
Really?
Yep.
All right. Rashawn, how do you feel?
I'm going classic, man. I'm going no date.
I'm with you.
No date. I'm going no date. Just because it's super clean, especially on the Rolex Submariner.
Very symmetrical.
Super symmetrical. The Cyclops for me, love the Cyclops, but not what I'm seeking on this Submariner.
So for me, I have categorically I have like rules in my head, and on dive watches I prefer no date.
Yeah.
On
On a dress watch, maybe.
That was my next point.
I feel like on the dress watch, you shouldn't have a date.
I feel like I need it.
Nah, it's the
Yeah.
opposite.
Because on a dress watch, I'm usually wearing that on an occasion, and I'm one looking at the time to when I can leave.
Sure. But that has nothing to do with the date. You don't need a date for that.
But I'm also looking at the date, and I'm like, I look at when I'm at a function I don't want to be at.
Yeah.
Me and my watch are right here.
Yeah.
What day is it? What's happening tomorrow?
Yeah.
What time is it? When am I out of here?
But if you're at a function, you know the date because the function falls on that date. I feel.
I'm going.
Not if I don't want to be there.
Yeah, but I just want to know the time at that point. Yo, I'm out in 2 hours. I'm like this.
But
all
you're
the
right.
time.
But if I want to be there, I'm not checking it. I'm probably only saying this because I got somewhere to be really soon that I want to go to.
Just watch for me. I'm definitely going day and date. If I can get a day and a day in a Just Watch, I'm for
I
it.
don't even care for that on a dress watch. Give me a time only dress watch. Super sleek. I'm good.
Yeah.
If it's a dress watch, I want the most I want the craziest thing for a dress watch. Like I want a crazy case material. I want a precious metal. I don't want to steal a dress watch. I feel like that
Has to
defeats the
be.
purpose.
Has to be.
I want a really good strap, and I want just a sick dial. I also want some sort of a complication. I don't want time only. I want a moon phase. I want the sub-seconds, which is like the simplest thing you can do, but
Yeah.
maybe a separate
But then
date
that
window
speaks to the
on the moon
JLC.
phase.
But that speaks to the
Yeah,
JLC.
the JLC moon phase or the
Which,
perpetual.
but
sure.
like you get the date.
You get, but see,
Yeah, and I get that, and I
Doesn't
get that.
matter
But,
when
it's
you
like-
get the
date.
but I'm not.
It checks the
I'm
boxes.
not checking that for the date though. I'm just like because it's pretty.
sure.
The date's a plus. Look
Yeah,
at
but
what we
it-
talked about a couple hours ago. The chronograph annual calendar.
Yes.
I'm not checking that for the calendar.
Yeah, but the thing is that, like you said, the moon phase attracts you to the dial. What comes next? It's gonna be the day and the date.
Yeah, especially because it's red. You're right. It's contrast.
Yeah,
Your eyes go
man.
straight to it.
So that's what I'm saying. If I'm gonna do Just Watch, day and date, I'm feeling it. I'm
Look,
all for
I'm
it.
with you, Rashawn, on that one.
Give me a
My
give me a
dive watch,
crazy
my professional. I don't need it.
give me a crazy Jules Audemars with diamonds. I'm good.
All
Time
right.
only and diamonds. I'm set.
Respect.
I just want to flex at the party. I got the best watch.
Yeah,
No one even knows it.
respect.
All right. The next one, strap versus bracelet. You guys know where I stand on this.
You're going bracelet.
I'm always going bracelet.
Going
I'm a
strap.
bracelet dude. I am a purist. And that doesn't mean I don't appreciate a strap. I definitely appreciate a strap, but the strap for me is always
Yeah.
a second option.
The
If
easiest way
it
to get a
comes
new
on a
watch is get new
bracelet,
strap.
right?
Yeah,
If it comes on a bracelet, and I want to change it up, I'm definitely a strap dude. But I'm more or less gonna keep it on a bracelet. For example, I moved the bronze Black Bay Tudor comes with a NATO strap and a bracelet.
Have you worn a nail yet?
I have once. I don't
Didn't
like
like
it.
it?
No,
okay.
I knew that was coming.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it took away from it. And I was like, no, this belongs on a bracelet.
Would you consider a third party strap for it, or are you just stuck on bracelet?
I
Consi-
haven't seen one yet
considering-
for this.
Considering the fact that Tudor and Marine Nationale have a partnership,
Sure.
which they did, in the past in the 70s.
Yes.
Erica's Originals made those straps.
But you know what it is with this watch in particular, because it's all bronze, I feel like I have to keep it on a bracelet so that
'Cause
the
it patinas
patina
together?
Yeah.
is
Yeah, I can see that. I feel the same about
and
this Auris.
well-rounded. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take it off and then put it on and then they're different.
Right.
I want to keep everything the same. I'm weird
Uniform.
and anal like that.
No, I get it.
But that's how my mind works, and that is how I think about bracelets. So even when I swap out, I recently got a new bracelet for my Omega Speedmaster. I got the Forstner 1450 President bracelet, and I'm wearing that a lot so that I can beat it up to get it to match the watch.
Yeah.
And that's just how my mind
Yeah.
works. But where do you stand?
I stand on straps, but
Mm-hmm.
I kind of contradict myself because I would not put this Auris on the strap for the same reason you wouldn't put
Mm-hmm.
your Tudor on the strap. I want it all to age together.
It depends on the piece.
Yeah. Also, to be fair, sorry, Geronimo, I'm not the biggest fan of the straps that these Tudors come on, but
That these
I-
Aurises come on.
Well, yeah, these Aurises come on, but I would get an Erica's Original strap to match it.
Which original?
Erica's Originals.
Okay.
She made the Tudor MN bracelet. She
Mhm.
made the bracelet. Well, she made the strap for the Carl Brashear Auris. And I would get one of those elastic NATOs in a similar color, probably brown, even pink in the summer to match the dial.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good look.
Yeah.
But with Grand Seiko, I put most of those watches on the strap.
Mm.
So like SBGA 401, which is that rose gold dial, rose gold hands, and hour markers, Grand Seiko that I like so much.
Right.
I'm dumping down the strap all day.
Okay.
Dark brown, patent leather gator. It's the way to go for me.
Respect. Where do you stand, Rashawn?
I'm gonna have to say strap.
Okay.
I think strap might be unanimous.
No, Perry's picking a
No,
bracelet.
I'm definitely
Perri's
bracelet.
Perri's going
I'm
bracelet.
definitely
Perri's going
bracelet.
bracelet.
I'm always bracelet.
Well, I
I'm
know
old
you were
school.
I know you were referring to
You're a
some
90s
some
baby. I'm an
pieces-
80s baby.
Yes. No, I'm saying you were referring to some pieces being on strap. So I
Yes.
feel like even still that's a little bit unanimous. But looking at the piece that's being displayed, I mean,
And we're
the
showing
Doxa-
the gold
the gold
Doxa,
Yes.
sub
Limited
200T.
to 13 pieces.
Limited to 13 pieces.
This
Price
Beautiful
point's kind
piece.
of crazy.
This
though.
I would
piece in its
definitely
own-
rock this on a bracelet.
This piece on its own on a bracelet is like so baller.
I think the strap is the
Hold
flex.
on. This is the biggest thing. So that bracelet alone,
It's $30K.
yes.
$30,000.
You know what I love
bracelet.
about this watch? You know what I love about this watch?
Tell me.
This watch costs $70,000. Right? It costs $70,000. Doxa. Excuse my language. We got to bleep that out.
No, leave it in.
No.
Leave it in.
It's a Doxa,
Yes.
right? Even in gold, it just reminds me of Key West.
Super Bowl.
I just think Florida.
Florida.
I'm on a
You know,
jet ski.
you know what's crazy?
I'm drinking. I'm eating key lime pie.
You know who's rocking this watch?
Who?
Conor McGregor on his Lamborghini yacht.
It's
You wanna
crazy.
know why?
Why?
Because no one else is gonna have it.
Sure.
They all
It's
have
13.
Pateks. They all have Rolexes. They all have the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
They don't have a gold Doxa.
And-
you know who will? The guy who has all the money in the world and don't want to be like
Well,
everybody
this is
else.
the biggest thing too. If you've handled this timepiece before,
You're like, damn, this is worth the 60K.
Man, that thing
It's heavy.
It's
You
heavy.
can knock somebody out with that thing.
Also,
This
Doxa makes incredible dive watches.
They do.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I think in our last episode we talked about undervalued brands. I mean, talk
Doxa's
about
one of
undervalued brand. Doxa does not get the appreciation they deserve.
Well, also,
they
too-
make really cool timepieces.
They make very beautiful timepieces. Very
The K
cool.
shape itself is unique.
K shape.
Fire.
K shape for it to be the 42 millimeter that it is, and for it to wear as small as it
It's
does.
a tonal shape.
It speaks volumes. But the deal is this, they do really cool fun dials. They do really fun and cool straps. And, the reason why they are underappreciated is because they just re-entered the U.S. market.
Yeah.
So I think, of course, when it comes to watches, it has to catch fire.
So with me, I'm with you 100%. But with me, I'm all about the juxtaposition.
Yes.
I like high and lows.
To be fair, I think we all are.
Okay, what I love about this watch is that it feels like Key West. Have you been to Key West?
No.
This watch, 70K, if I get it, I'm only rocking it with flip-flops.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
Well, it also doesn't make sense, right? It's a gold.
It doesn't
dive
make
watch
sense at
chronograph.
all. That's what's so awesome about it.
Yes.
I'm wearing this watch with flip-flops, swim trunks,
And a t-shirt,
and like
a V-neck.
not a. I'm not that dude.
Tank
But
top.
definitely, no, I rock like a long sleeve, like, Florida merch tee. Like, you go to Florida, you walk in
No,
the stores,
Marlins
nigga.
t-shirt.
Yeah, like
And the
something
merch
like
shop.
that. Like people, with some crazy like sunglasses and everyone's like, oh, you from here? Yeah. Look at me, check me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
But I'm all about the bracelet. And I feel like this watch deserves that. I mean, at that price point, yeah, you could
I just think it's-
toss the strap out.
I think it's fire to be on the strap, though. That rubber strap.
Okay.
Ball on the
Again,
bracelet.
juxtapositions and the design
Sure.
language with that.
Ball on the bracelet.
Gold case, rubber strap. Sure, bracelet's baller, but like a
I
rubber
feel you
strap.
on that. I get the argument.
Like, come on.
I get the argument.
Also,
Um,
definitely way more comfortable. Let's be honest.
I find bracelets incredibly comfortable.
Yes.
Rubber more
I-
in the rubber strap.
Yes, definitely. That's just how my wrist is built.
We
I'm
gonna
sorry,
fight about
son.
that.
Wrist check. Next, appropriately enough, as we were talking about this gold Doxa, Precious metal versus steel.
Precious metal.
Oh, yeah.
Precious metal.
Precious metal for sure.
Especially with the price of some of these gray market watches. Precious metal. Why get a Rolex Daytona Panda dial for $38,000 when you can buy a solid rose gold GMT for the same price at retail?
I feel you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You got it. No, go ahead.
I think, when it comes down to precious metal, and the biggest thing about it is, God forbid these brands are to be compromised, you still have a natural resource.
Yeah, you have
Sure.
value in the gold.
You have value in the gold. We do know of brands that, they have hunks of metal being steel, being sold for 3 and 4 times the price. But let's just say, for example, if that brand was to be compromised, and you brought, a Daytona for X amount of price point, when it is well over retail and it goes beyond, but I won't even say beyond, but it goes below retail, somebody's jumping out of a window.
Sure.
And with
They
that
jumped
being
out the
said,
window just to get it.
that too. But I'm saying, and that's a double-edged sword. You'll jump out the window to get it, and you also jump out the window if it goes down in value.
If you're
If
that
the
guy.
world goes upside down, yeah.
Yes, but the world has gone upside down. We've just seen it on the upturn of,
Right. On the upturn of watches, especially with these Rolex stuff.
of course,
Especially with that Daytona.
Of course. So with that being said, when I am consulting and speaking to guys about watches and brands and things like that, it's like, if you love the watch, great. If you have the concern that, you won't be able to move your investment laterally, then why don't you invest in precious metal?
I get it. Me personally, as a purist, just how I'm built,
Steel.
definitely steel. When I buy watches, I don't even consider. I never purchase a watch with the intent to resell it,
Of course.
or the intent to get rid of it at
Sure.
some point.
You're a great client to have.
It is the very last thing I would ever think about. I would only ever sell a watch if I was in dire straits and absolutely needed to because I needed
Yes.
the cash. So, I'm a steel dude.
But to piggyback on what you're saying, I think the guys that do sell watches and look at them as assets, they're not true watch collectors.
I think that's a great point.
And,
Yeah, I
and
can
with
agree
that
to
being
that.
said,
Now that doesn't
it's
mean
like,
that I wouldn't purchase a precious metal watch.
of course.
The precious metal watch that I would purchase would be the watch that I had to purchase in the precious metal.
Of course.
Right? This, like, I can't have this
If
one
you don't
in
have-
any
yes.
other way
If you don't
because
have any other
that's the
option,
one that
yes.
that is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? And for me, that would be the Cartier Crash.
Yeah.
So-
I'm only going to get that watch in the gold bezel. They don't offer a steel
Right. I
version.
have,
They
I have a
never
question
would,
for you, though.
But that's a precious metal. Shoot.
How do you feel about Tudor making that Black Bay in gold?
I don't like it.
Not at all.
I mean,
Is it something-
I don't. The idea of Tudor making a Black Bay in gold doesn't bother me. That particular design, aesthetically, says nothing.
What
to
about
me.
it, though?
It's the combination of the green and gold.
Okay.
I find it
Not the right shade for you?
not for me. No, I
Do
don't
you-
like the combination.
Do you think you would like it if it was on the bracelet?
No,
You wouldn't like the
No.
ribbon
Oh, I
bracelet
think it'd
on
be
the strap?
amazing on a bracelet.
Yeah.
I disagree.
If it was on the
amazing
bracelet, I think it would bang way more.
I disagree. But also,
But
I
also
think
too, if it's on bracelet, the price point goes exponential.
What
And
is
this
that watch? 16?
But-
A
but
little
see,
more?
16,000.
But
It'd
to
be
your point,
25 on the bracelet.
If it goes on
It'd be
bracelet,
25.
it's going up 10
I
grand.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand what you're asking me. And to your point, you are right because of what Tudor means to me in my head.
Right.
It's a tool watch. I don't want a gold Tudor, period. Not interested.
But there might be a guy.
Do you
that
think
does.
they made a good
Now-
gold Tudor?
Sorry?
Do you think they made a good gold Tudor? Maybe not for you, but in general. Is it
I
a
don't
good
like any
watch?
of their options. I don't like the gold Black Bay. I don't like the two-tone Tudors. I'm
Sure.
not a fan.
Yeah, well, those are gold capped.
Didn't know that.
Different category. Those
Well,
are gold
and I
capped.
wouldn't know that because I'm not checking for it. So
This Tudor is solid gold.
yeah, but
18
I'm not
karat.
interested. Now, what I will tell you, I am interested in is I think the silver
925 fire.
Black Bay 58
Fire.
Yes.
is
Fire.
amazing.
I like it way more on
Yeah.
the NATO
I
than the
think
leather
it's
strap.
and I like it on a NATO.
Yes.
I don't want a bracelet
It don't
on that
belong
one.
on a NATO.
That's one of those watches where I'm like, no bracelet. I don't want a silver bracelet.
Yes.
Give me that on a NATO all day. That thing is cool.
Yeah.
I dig that.
I could see. I definitely agree with you on silver and NATO, but I would definitely partner with Ben on the precious metal going on the bracelet.
Yeah,
Like a
if they made that watch on the
if they did
bracelet-
like that, I think it would change your
I
mind.
feel that way about the Doxa.
Yes.
The Tudor, I don't aesthetically.
we just,
here's the
we
thing
just
with the
haven't seen
Doxa,
it.
though.
We just haven't seen it yet.
On the
but,
bracelet.
but the green gold combination, that watch case, the one that they gave us, even on the strap, you take it off the strap.
Yes.
I'm not vibing with it.
So look. So now, is it fair to say from our previous episode that that's where Tudor is undervalued because we put it in this
that
spectrum in this block
we can't judge that yet.
that we can't judge yet.
that.
And I think that
It's their first gold watch.
I think Tudor has to go ahead.
To be
and-
fair though, you can't find one in a boutique. You can't find the gold Black Bay in the boutique.
but we've had the luxury to see one.
Yeah, but we had
You can find it at the Tudor boutique. in Meatpacking
For how
District.
much longer?
Yes, you can.
For how
I
much
haven't
longer
been
after
there in
this
several
episode?
weeks, so maybe
It's
not
probably
anymore.
gone.
But when I was there,
It's
when I
probably
got
gone.
old boy, they were there.
It's probably gone though.
Probably isn't.
I mean, but the thing is this too, especially with these new boutiques and because that boutique had just opened up.
Yeah, they're gonna have the product,
They
but
should.
it's gonna sell just as
Going
fast.
back to what you said before is like dangling the carrot, and
I-
you want a Black Bay 58 in bronze? We just sold one, but we had the gold one.
It's dangling the carrot.
Right.
It's
Call me
dangling
when
the
you say
carrot.
Someone else to
bronze.
buy the gold one though.
It's dangling the carrot, and it's definitely leveraging, and it speaks to these brands being able to do that. It's
I
like
feel all of that.
having that second option,
I personally
and usually the second option though
do
is more
not
expensive.
want to see gold watches from Tudor. I don't. I am not interested.
What if it's under 10K?
I'm not interested.
Not at all.
No.
Okay.
That's not what I want from them. I love what they do with regard to tool watches.
Yeah.
I only want to see steel or other interesting
What would be
variants
awesome?
of metals that they do, but gold, rose gold, I'm gonna pass.
What about
on them all
gold?
day.
What about a precious metal chronograph from
Nah.
Tudor?
I'm
Won't
not
do it.
interested.
I don't care. Yeah, same.
Really?
Yep.
Not
I'd
interested.
rather have the gold Black Bay than the gold Chrono.
Wow.
Not interested.
Really?
Part of
Yeah.
the reason why I
but
didn't even pop
we're
off.
looking at precious
But
metal.
listen.
We're looking at a precious metal chrono now.
Yeah, but that's a Breitling, and they're literally regarded as the masters of chronograph. It makes sense.
Facts.
They can do whatever they want with their chronograph.
And I would still choose a steel. Also, look at that.
That steel
dial.
mint
that
fire.
mint green
But
dial is
also,
crazy.
Also, that new Tudor Chrono that everyone's going crazy over, that Panda dial, has a repurposed Breitling movement in it. So if they made that in gold, the credit would go to Breitling anyway, because the guts are what matters most.
Sure, but also too, in that retrospect, for the guy that's seeking a Tudor, probably does not have Brandon on their radar.
No, but when he finds out that the
Facts,
Tudor
'cause
he
I'm
just
not,
bought,
I'm not really.
But
the only
but
Breitling I would get
but
is a Super
one's-
Ocean.
But no one's going ahead and saying like, okay, because this is where homework plays its part.
right?
We know that Breitling and Tudor share, technology.
They do.
And with that being said, like I said, Tudor was a brand that was underappreciated, and for those reasons, it doesn't really leverage the brands because
But-
of who they work with. So it's like, with that being said, if you understand that a Tudor is partnered with Breitling, and the price point for a Breitling is 2 times the price of a Tudor, it doesn't mean that you go ahead and you move to a Breitling.
I feel you.
But it could though, because think about it like this: that guy who gets his hands on that new Tudor Chrono, Panda dial or Black dial that has that Breitling movement in it, he can go ahead and say, "I love this Tudor that I bought so much. I understand that it has a Breitling movement, I've done research and homework into Breitling, and I feel like I'm ready to buy one of their most iconic watches, and I want a Navitimer. Then what?
It depends. It depends if you're moved.
Or a Premier.
But it also depends if you're moved on movement. Because, I mean...
I mean, to your point, there's a ton of variables.
Yes.
Yeah, but I also think
ton of
I
variables.
think that's the next step, though. You fall in love with the watch because of how it looks, and then you get into the guts. And when you find out that
For
the
you.
guts... Sure.
For us.
For
Yeah.
us, I think...
There's a lot of guys that will purchase watches because they feel like this is the one that they're supposed to
So
have.
me and Perri, I think, come from an artistic standpoint where you come from more like the technical standpoint.
I think you're in between.
I was going to say the same thing.
You definitely have a sensibility and appreciation for aesthetics. But
I
you
think-
love the technology and that's what I love about you, because that's where I get a lot of my information from when we talk about watches.
Right.
We got to move on. So we settled that. You guys are definitely precious metal.
Yes.
Yes,
You're steel.
I am steel. I'm on the island.
for sure.
The next and last category, probably the most important, definitely the most controversial. Tool watch versus sports watch versus dress watch.
I have a question before we get into that.
I think I know what you're going to ask, but go ahead.
What differentiates a
Tool watch from a sports watch. Excellent point, because they cross.
Yes.
At various points.
They're almost the
They're
same.
almost the same, but we do know not all. So a tool watch can be a sports watch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sports watch can't be a tool
No.
watch,
No.
and that's where the difference is. But you're absolutely right, and I was thinking it as you were saying it. I'll let you take you take that.
So
elaborate.
what I believe differentiates a tool from a sports watch is something like a dive watch or a Rolex Explorer.
Sure.
The Explorer is a sports watch.
Yes, I would agree with you 100%.
At least the Explorer 1 is.
Yes.
Because it's very simple.
Yes.
It's time only.
That's
However-
an excellent point, because the GMT crosses
Into tool.
when you go talk about the Explorer 2.
Right. Because the
Definitely.
Explorer 2 is a GMT.
100%.
It says Explorer, but it is a GMT.
It is a GMT watch.
You track 2 time zones on that watch.
Yes.
It is a tool. It is not a sports watch.
Mhm.
A Submariner is a tool watch.
100%.
However, it can be used as a sports watch because you can use it as a timer.
Sure, but you use it in relation to dive timing.
Sure, but the problem with that is
I get it, because I can use mine.
90% of the people who have
They're
a
not
sub
diving.
are not diving.
That's
They're
divers.
not. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're timing
That's not
themselves.
like that.
They're,
That's
they're
divers.
timing how long they got to cook their eggs for.
Sure. Well, but I don't do that. I mean, when I do
So
that,
I
I'm
feel
bringing
like you do.
No, I don't.
The
I'm,
speedy?
I'm using the chronograph 100%. Not the dive.
So I think if I can chime in a bit, I love the order in how this is. It's tool, sport, and dress, because I think tool is the most robust. Sport is that in between of a tool watch, but also can be worn as a dress watch.
Yeah, people wear subs at their wedding day all the time.
So what I
But you're not wearing a G-Shock.
Now-
at your wedding
Nah,
day,
you
right?
weren't-
saying
weren't
is
a sub,
this.
though.
Now, what I'm saying is this: as dapper as I am today, I am wearing a sport watch.
Sure.
I'm using one that is purpose for timing an event.
Absolutely.
And it matches and it coordinates accordingly. With that being said, for me, I'm going sports watch overall because it is that perfect medium. Like you said, some Mariners have been worn at weddings. Some Mariners have been worn at black tie. Some Mariners have also been purposed for diving.
If James
Yeah.
Bond could do it, anyone could do it, right?
I mean,
Facts.
with that being said, the sport watch for me just checks all the boxes. Would I lean to a dress watch? Anything that's more dressy, I'm all for. But with that being said, I'm also someone that purposes my watches for so many other things. So I can't use my dress watch to do what I do when I'm traveling I'm in meetings, I'm, doing whatever I'm doing, I have to use a sport watch because it has the complication and it serves the purpose rightfully so.
Sure. I get it.
So sport watch for me.
You're a sports watch. So
I'm
where do
sports
you
watch.
stand?
Dress.
I'm with you.
Juxtaposition 100%.
You gonna leave me
Always juxtaposition. Always juxtaposition.
hanging?
You can wear a dress watch. So
one of my-
anything on
yeah.
a leather strap,
Yep.
it can have a complication, whatever
Yeah.
you want it to be. But let's say you're wearing a Patek annual calendar with jeans and a t-shirt. Fire.
This is what I'm talking about. So one of my
Fire.
favorite things to do is to take a dress watch and dress it down.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes me
amazing.
feel incredible. It's such a power move
Yep.
because
Because you can do it.
you can do it. Not only can you do it, but especially when paired with the right watch, it's like, that that's not even the heavy hitter in your collection.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, I'm doing this because
Because I can.
I can.
Right.
Yes.
And it's
'Cause I
such
got more where
it's
it came
such a
from.
statement. I think about the person that does that in terms of A, what they value, and B, how their perspective and their view of watches, their perspective and their view of art, et cetera, et cetera. Because if you're pairing a dress watch with jeans and t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
The t-shirt is the best t-shirt,
Yeah.
and the jeans are also the best jeans,
Right.
hands down.
So
Think about it like this too. It's like you can have juxtaposition with a tool or a sports watch, right? Like we said, you can wear a sub to a wedding. If you're getting married, you're probably wearing your best suit with the Submariner, right?
Absolutely.
So you can do that, but also I feel like it's more of a power play to have a dress watch on and dress it down
Yep.
because it's like the dress watch costs more than everything else, probably.
Definitely.
Definitely
It is the most
does.
expensive piece you're wearing.
Right.
So-
And also, it's like I was lucky enough for like 8-9 months to wear a good friend of mine's Patek Aquanaut, a 5167.
I remember that. Yes.
I used to
Respect.
wear it with a suit at work 5 days a week.
I remember you wearing it with basketball shorts.
Right.
Playing
ball.
basketball.
Playing ball.
Yeah.
Nice to get this crazy looks. And it was like, when I would play it in basketball shorts and like a hoodie or a t-shirt, no one would care. When I wore it with a suit, everyone would be like, why are you doing that? They don't
Interesting.
belong together.
Yeah.
But then when I had the dress watch on, it was like, why are you wearing this at all?
Yeah.
And I feel like that definitely speaks to a broader audience than the sports watch.
Well, it takes it to another conversation.
Yeah, it almost
where
looks like the sports watch dressed up is the only watch you have.
100%.
Whereas the dress watch that you have dressed down means you
got a
got
collection.
crazier stuff.
You got crazier
Right.
stuff.
So let me ask you because I definitely wanted to chime in.
Sure.
Do you consider the Gégé Lecoultre Reverso?
I love it when you speak French.
Do it more, please.
That's about the best French I
Sure.
can speak.
I think that's the best French we could all speak, aside from some curse
So,
words.
do you consider the Reverso to be a sports watch or a dress watch? Because in
The
my eyes,
Reverso is a dress watch.
The Reverso is a dress watch.
the dress watch it can't be a dress watch.
It was
purposed
made,
for
yeah,
a sport.
but what's
Yeah, but when
but
you
not
flip it
really
over-
though, not really.
How was it not?
Think about it like
the
this.
intention
It was
was not to
purpose-
play
The intention
basketball
was
in that.
yeah, the intention was not even to play polo in that. This is where you're going with this. The intention was to have a watch that won't get messed up while wearing polo. It wasn't specifically to play polo. And
It
think
was
about
like,
it
hey
this.
guys,
Of course.
we're going over here.
Turn your watch over.
I
don't
guess
mess
I'm
it up.
going.
Right.
I don't have a choice.
And the crazy thing is that watch was made for soldiers.
but
But that's also how greatness is created.
listen, I would
And that's
totally
why it's
wear it in the
arguably-
fashion that you're talking about.
But that's arguably why these guys consider the Reverso to be the first sport watch.
so
Yeah, but at the same time, it was like, think about it like this. That watch was made for soldiers, right? British officers that were in India playing polo, right?
Sure.
All military watches came on straps. They weren't on bracelets, at least back then.
Well, they came on straps because traditionally they were actually
Pocket watches that were repurposed.
They were pocket watches that were repurposed with
leather, or rope or whatever got to fit on your wrist.
Yes, absolutely.
Which
or
is
even
why
parachute cord.
Yeah, exactly. But that just adds to our point.
I mean, you're hitting with a lot of knowledge right now.
It is a tool
respect
watch.
To you guys.
It's not a sports watch. It's a tool watch. It's
the
a tool.
Reverso's a tool watch.
It's a tool.
I think that's an incredible way to look at it. I don't know if I agree with that. I would say
it's a
dress
tool
watch.
that now has turned into a dress watch.
But I think a sport watch. I think a sport watch is a dress watch too.
Look, for the Reverso, we can say
it is a dress watch.
I think we'll agree to this.
Oh man,
it's in its own league.
The JLC?
Yeah, the Reverso.
I mean, that's my favorite JLC. Of course it is.
But what about a sub? We just went back to it. A sub.
Sub is a tool.
I don't want a sub.
Yeah, I don't want a sub. Unless it's
I never want a sub.
Unless it's a Red Tech 1680, I do not want a sub.
I'll pass.
I don't know, man. I think the subs are amazing, especially with no date.
They are, but the 1680 is the best.
And then we'll move on after this because this is going to be very controversial, but I feel like everyone needs to hear this because I'm feeling myself right now. The sub, most boring dive watch.
I feel like that about the Daytona.
I don't feel like that about the Daytona.
Another episode.
I love Daytonas.
Oh, man.
Episode
but the
5.
Sub,
yeah.
I'm good.
I'm good on the Daytona.
So good on the sub.
Who also, too,
I enjoy the watch I wore last episode. My vintage Elgin. To me,
it's better dive
way
watch.
Cooler than a sub.
But the thing is this, though. I think it's because, initially the sub was heavily sought after a couple of years back, right? Because, of course, it was the it watch. Can I get it? I can't access it. How do I get it? As consultants, we went from begging guys to buy GMTs.
Sure.
To go on
especially
ahead and
gold
being like,
ones and two-tone ones.
You would go ahead and beg a guy to buy a GMT, especially when when I had watches available. It was like, I beg you to buy a GMT, and you'd be like, no, I don't really want that. I want a sub. From now, the polar opposite to being like, sure, would you like a Submariner? And the guy's like, I don't really want that.
I kind of want a GMT.
I want a GMT. I want a red and blue bezel. I want a Pepsi.
Everyone wants
and
a
it's
Pepsi.
What is going on here?
Yeah, I don't get it.
You know what I'm saying? I think people are just
but to each his own, and
with what they can't have.
Listen, Pepsi GMT is an amazing watch. Not for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Respect to you who want it.
The quote-unquote
sub is not for me. If I had to go sub, I'm always going to go vintage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Vintage.
I would never get a new sub. I hate the case. And if I had to go sub, absolutely had to go sub, I'm going Tudor sub.
Tudor sub, yes.
That's how I feel.
A reduced case?
Absolutely. With the snowflake here?
Yes.
Get out of here.
I'm
all day. Roulette date dial?
Yes.
Let's go.
What I love about those Tudor subs, too, is when they get ghosted and fade, they almost look lavender.
Yeah,
purple.
they do.
They don't turn blue. They turn purple.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So we got to move on because we're pressed on time. But I hope everyone watching is enjoying.
Same.
Yeah.
I think they are.
So this brings us to our last segment. Watches on our radar. Something we did on the first episode, and we bring it back. So what we will do per episode is we'll switch things up. Every episode is not going to be the same. We have different topics and different segments that we'll mix in. And I personally was scouring the internet, looking at vintage watches again, and what was on my radar, I'll go first. I was looking, I think it was somewhere around, I think the first episode we got into a conversation about Grand Seiko and we started talking about like vintage high beats and how Seiko arrived where they did and the timing competitions. And that got me looking at a line of watches that I was looking at before months ago, but it kind of reinvigorated that whole conversation for me in my mind. And I was looking at Longines Ultracrons, which I think is an underrated watch, a
Sexy,
series
though.
of watches, because not only are they aesthetically pleasing, they are incredibly robust. They're high beat watches. They're pretty dope. I was looking at a couple of vintage Ultracrons over the weekend, and they're incredibly affordable.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the price looking like?
They vary. So they range anywhere from like $600 to $700 to up to, I mean, they can get expensive. They can go up to $5,000. It depends on the one that
Did you see one worth $5,000?
I did. There's a couple of Ultracrons that they did that were solid gold.
Well, the price is definitely going to go up after your mention. So,
Oh my God. I gotta
Take
get
the
one
credit.
quick. The solid gold ones, they go up in price exponentially. They have gold capped options. They have steel options that are some of the steel options are the most interesting ones because they have the most interesting dials.
yes.
But really cool line. I was looking at a couple before. I want to say maybe 18, 20 months ago, sort of like right before COVID.
Okay.
And they've jumped. The prices are going up, but they're still very reasonable. Enough to pop off on. A watch on my short list. Definitely would expect to have one in my collection sometime within the next 2 years.
I like that. I'm not.
I like the one you picked for the photo.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
definitely.
Is that
like
solid gold one?
this
This
right
one is
here,
gold capped,
It's good.
and I'm not above a gold capped
Nah,
watch.
I have
I-
a gold capped Omega, the one I wear most.
Respect.
I definitely join you on that. So if we can source two, I'm with.
And
Okay.
again, that's on a red strap. You know, I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah,
This is a red croc strap.
love
Yeah,
red.
this is dope.
yeah.
You guys had two options, right?
Yep.
We can go with Ben.
I picked the Timor Heritage Field watch.
So tell me about this one because I'm not very well versed in Timor.
So we've all heard of the Dirty Dozen, right?
yes, sir.
Timor was a brand that made a Dirty Dozen watch,
Okay.
and they recently brought out their Heritage Field a couple years ago. As an
Now these look
almost
like
one-to-one
vintage
replica.
Elgins to me.
Yeah, it's like a
World War
replica.
II, Elgins.
It's basically a replica.
Like an A2.
Yeah, so almost a replica of their Dirty Dozen watch. It has a broad arrow. It has basically the same exact dial, except obviously no radium or tritium. It's Luminova now. But it has like a faux Tina to it on that Luminova. And the cool thing is that you have the option of buying either a manual or automatic watch.
Wow.
Yep.
It's dope.
I would go with the manual,
I will
obviously.
go with the manual too. It's also less expensive to go manual for whatever reason.
Respect that.
A couple $100 less, but I'm going manual.
Yeah, this
Timor
retails,
Heritage
it's,
Field. It's $940 British pounds, so about $1,100 US, I would say.
It's not
right?
bad.
No, not at all. If you want something that looks vintage, if you want something that has a lot of heritage to it, especially with the brand, Timor's been around for a long time. Again, they did make one of the original Dirty Dozen watches, and you can pick a variety of straps. They have a heritage-inspired NATO strap, which is like a khaki brown with some old insignias and logos on it from World War II.
I love like these military inspired watches because they're super light. It's straight to the point.
They can just get the job done.
They get the job done. You can beat them up.
Robust.
This is a watch you'll have forever. If you need to get it serviced, it's relatively inexpensive.
And realistically, you probably won't need to get a service.
And you probably won't. I mean, these things are workhorses.
Unless you really do some damage to this as
Sure.
a user and like practically break it,
Yeah,
you won't have to service it.
yeah. And it's got a sub dial, which I think is really
Yeah,
cool.
sub-seconds between right at 6 o'clock. It's great.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm a fan. Definitely something I could consider. Rashawn, you had one,
Yeah.
the Accutron.
So I'm gonna go with the Accutron Legacy. I love it because it actually manipulates shapes.
Yeah, it's the only square watch on the list.
It's a square piece. It wears small, so it's a smaller case. I mean, I love the circa of the 60s. So Accutron was introduced in the 60s.
So it's interesting. So it's crazy that you said that because in my mind, I'm looking at this watch and I'm I'm channeling 1960s vibes. Like that's the design
Looks like a TV.
era that I'm getting from.
Yes, I was just gonna say it
100%.
looks like a TV.
Yeah.
The crystal, it has rounded corners.
Yeah.
It's rounded on the top and bottom, but the case is basically a square.
You know how I feel about the 60s too when it comes to design.
Yeah,
You love it.
I mean, most of my timepieces. So for me, especially, is like if I'm not sourcing a timepiece from the 90s, like via like my birth year,
You're going 60s?
I'm going 60s. I may even go as far as like the 50s. But most of my timepieces that I'm sourcing is like in the 60s.
This
case
is
back
it's a
is
limited
interesting, too.
edition piece. There's only 600 units of this one.
Yes.
And it's got a half exhibition visible case back.
Is it automatic? It looks like it has a rotor. Can't tell from the photo.
It looks like it might be manual wound, right?
No, I believe it's
No, it's
automatic.
automatic.
I think
Yeah,
it's automatic.
actually, you're right. Yeah. You
Yeah.
can see it there.
Yeah,
It's
it has-
definitely
That is a
it's-
rotor.
It's definitely automatic.
they're numbered too.
They're numbered. I mean, it can be worn by both men and women.
What's the size?
I think the case size might be 30. What is it?
34?
30. It's like a
33. It's a 33 millimeter case size.
And it says.
So this is a relatively small watch.
relatively small watch, but because it has that square case, it almost
It
wears
wears
bigger.
it wears bigger.
Sure.
Natural shape of your wrist.
Yeah.
Won't
That-
get tired of saying that.
Of course. I mean, and my most casual wear is a 34 millimeter watch.
Now,
So this for me is
Accutron, don't
perfect.
they? Those are made by Belova, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Made by Belova. Definitely a brand that is pivotal in watchmaking. So for me, like this checks all the boxes.
I think this is a really cool piece.
Yeah, for
actually.
I like the
I think going back
asymmetrical
to
markers, too.
what me and Ben were talking about with respect to dress watches, this is something that would definitely check that box.
See, look,
Like I would love to dress this down.
We
Full circle.
agree on something. we agree on
Respect.
something for
Respect.
sure. We definitely
Definitely.
agree on something.
That about takes the cake, guys. So this wraps episode 4. This was amazing. I'm
Yep.
glad we got to do this one. This was different than every other episode that we had done.
This felt like a passion
since.
episode.
This was a passion episode, but I think it was also incredibly informative. I just want to encourage people who are watching to ask questions.
Yes,
you can
please,
find us
please.
on Instagram at WristCheckPod, and our DMs are open. If you
Yep.
want to comment on the YouTube channel, please comment there, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share.
Yes.
We will see you next week on episode 5. Deuces.